Welcome to this explainer. We are jumping right into a massive, literally planet-spanning concept today, globalization. It's a term we hear thrown around all the time, but what are the actual mechanics behind it? How exactly does a decision made on one side of the planet ripple out to affect our daily routines, from the smartphone in your pocket to the food on your plate? Well, let's dive into this and unravel the invisible web that wires our world together. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be defining globalization, looking at its four main features, weighing the advantages, tackling the disadvantages, and finally, looking at our interconnected future. All right, Section 1, defining globalization. What does this actually mean in plain English? When you look at the blueprint of our modern world, the sheer scale is honestly staggering. You've got trade ships and planes crossing hemispheres, digital signals zipping around the globe, connecting diverse groups of people. Everything, and I mean everything, is linked. Countries, businesses, and everyday individuals are becoming incredibly interdependent. Distilling all that down, our source gives us this really solid, simple definition. Globalization is the growing interconnectedness of the world's economies, cultures, and populations. Notice that anchor phrase right there, growing interconnectedness. It doesn't just happen by magic. It operates specifically through four distinct channels: trade, technology, communication, and the movement of people. Moving right along to Section 2. The four features of globalization. Let's see how this invisible web actually functions. Our source identifies four functional mechanics driving our modern world. We have economic integration, technological connectivity, cultural exchange, and the movement of people. Let's break these down and see how they build on one another, starting with the economy. Think about the smartphone you're probably holding right now. It's the perfect example of economic integration. As the source points out, that phone might be designed in one country, manufactured in another, using parts sourced from all over the map, and then sold worldwide. The global supply chain is just completely integrated now, thanks to cross-border trade and these massive multinational companies. Then we have technological connectivity, which is basically the digital nervous system of all this. Because of the internet and modern communication, we have instant global sharing of information. I mean, the days of waiting weeks for an international letter, long gone. We can now work, learn, and interact across continents in real time, which has totally transformed how businesses and schools operate. Feature number 3 is cultural exchange, which, let's be honest, is probably the tastiest aspect of globalization. It's the reason ideas, languages, music, and diverse foods spread so fast. Just like the source notes, pizza, sushi, tacos, these are enjoyed worldwide now. It's this amazing blending of distinct local cultures into a shared global experience. In wrapping up the four features, we have the movement of people. See, we don't just share data and products, we physically connect societies. Migration, global tourism, international education programs. These things actively knit different populations closer together through direct human-to-human interaction. So, looking at this summary, the big takeaway here is how these drivers all support each other. The internet makes multinational trade possible. Trade allows the spread of physical, cultural goods like food, and people moving around the world relies on modern transport and economic incentives. They all work together to keep the whole system running. Okay, Section 3, the advantages of globalization. Let's objectively look at the major benefits. There are some massive upsides here. First off, globalization drives greater economic growth and opens up a ton of job opportunities as markets expand. Second, we see an incredibly fast spread of technology and knowledge. Think about it. A medical breakthrough in one hemisphere can literally save lives in another just weeks later. And finally, thanks to all that cultural exchange and movement of people, we just have a much deeper cultural understanding among nations. We get so much more access to each other's ways of life. But it's not all perfect. Section 4, the disadvantages of globalization. Let's examine the systemic drawbacks. This creates a really intense inherent tension. On one hand, yes, we have access to a wider variety of products and services than ever before in human history. But the flip side? Environmental issues drastically increase as a direct consequence. All that global production and those massive shipping networks required to move goods from a factory to your front door, it puts an enormous strain on the planet. The source also points out some other serious disadvantages. Even though globalization creates jobs overall, fierce international competition can lead to severe localized job losses in industries that just can't compete with cheaper overseas labor. And culturally,
As dominant international brands spread, unique local traditions and languages face a very real risk of weakening or even fading away entirely.
So, it all boils down to this. We are absolutely more connected than ever, but that intense interdependence raises a really vital question. What actually happens when one link in that giant global chain suddenly breaks?
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, our interconnected future.
The source's final point about disadvantages answers that exact question about fragility. Because our economies are so deeply integrated, an economic crisis in one single country can, and often does, violently affect the others. A banking collapse or supply chain failure on one side of the globe sends immediate shockwaves into markets and grocery stores everywhere else. We share the prosperity for sure, but we also share the risk.
Ultimately, this explainer shows us that globalization isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's this incredible, complex, invisible web fueling massive growth, innovation, and understanding. But it absolutely demands that we carefully navigate these shared environmental, economic, and cultural challenges together. We really are all in the same boat. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you pick up an item on your desk or grab a snack from your pantry, ask yourself, how many unseen global threads had to perfectly align just to put that everyday object right into your hands? Thanks for joining me on this journey today. Keep learning and stay curious.